All right, so our first review of the day is going to be for Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man is a series that a lot of people have been telling me about. Much hype. I've heard a lot of people discuss it. Josh has told me about it, and I just have to say, what the hell do y'all have me watching? Because this is some wild shit. So the story of this is, and then you, Sage or Josh, you can step in and correct me if I mess up anything, get some plot points wrong. You're allowed to do that. It's a story about this boy named Denjin, and he's in debt to the Yakuza. He's so much in debt to the Yakuza, he's selling off pieces of his body, he's selling off his eye, he's selling off even his left nut. He's giving away his balls here. You know what I mean? His ability to even just reproduce, because he's in so much debt to the Yakuza. And you just see he kind of lives this sad life, going around incredibly poor, eating just moldy bread. And he has this little, but he has one thing in his life that's pretty good. He's got this little pet little demon dog with a chainsaw on his head. And then you see in the first episode, that he bonds with this demon devil dog, because we're living in kind of this alternate reality in this anime series where the Soviet Union still exists. AIDS never happened. The Holocaust never happened. So it's this big alternate reality here. And in this reality, there are devils that kind of, plague the world. And he ends up fusing with this devil dog, this chainsaw dog, and becomes Chainsaw Man. And he ends up working for a government organization to hunt down and kill other devils. Because in this world, you can kind of make deals with devils, and they can work for you, and then you can fight other devils. And he makes kind of this other team of people that kind of recruits him here, that do the same thing, that enlist him in doing that. So that's kind of the basic setup, pretty much. Is that basically right? If I conveyed that
yeah, all correct.
Kind of like convey it to more casual anime watchers or civilians in some terms. Just think about Men in Black, but instead of aliens, it's devils.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, very good.
Pretty much the plainest I could put it to you. And goofy, much goofier.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of film references that are in here. That in the series, you'll see like maybe with the outfits of the people that he works with in this government agency, wear all like kind of black suits, plain black suits, everything like that. Much, kind of nodding to Reservoir Dogs. There's that kind of comparison with it, which is a Quentin Tarantino film. The level of violence in here, you'll see a lot of blood splattering, a lot of guts being spilled out. Again, you can make kind of reference to similar something like Kill Bill, which is another Quentin Tarantino project there. So it's very much over the top kind of goofy nature of the violence there, in kind of going on in the series, which was kind of like, typical kind of anime type of things. And a thing that's very conventional of anime shows is you always have a character who's aggressively horny. And Denjin in here is aggressively horny. The horny police could not take care of him. I think you almost need the horny brigade, the horny battalion, to kind of come in and step in, because he's all about, he just wants to touch some boobs. He's like, listen, my life is shit, and I just want to, he's a boob guy. He loves boobs. Wants to be in the company of women, which, hey, I guess I can't fully blame him for that. Who doesn't love a good pair of boobs, right? So you have that character here in Denjin who kind of is one of his motivations here, is that, and you do have kind of these other characters that he works with, which we'll get into, the other characters that he works with, hunting down these different devils and things. And we also talk about maybe some of our favorite episodes here. I binged it yesterday and today, so I finished off the last 3 episodes today. So I watched it real quick there. Yeah, it wasn't like One Piece where I was sitting. I'm like, I have to go into the hyperbolic chamber in order to finish One Piece. I couldn't finish that in the time before the movie came out, so there's no way I was going to do that. But I was able to finish this. It's 12 episodes. I watched it on Hulu and I watched dubbed, and it's about like 24 minutes each episode there, so it's a quick binge and everything like that. So I'm going to pass it around, get these guys' thoughts on the series, get what they like about it, and I'm going to go with Sage. Sage, what are your thoughts on Chainsaw Man?
There's one particular thing that I like to bring up anytime this show is a topic of conversation, and It's a term in psychology. It's the Maslow's hierarchy of wants and needs. It's this pyramid structure, and all fictional characters, most fictional characters, generally start right around the middle. They have their food, their clothes, their shelter taken care of, and they have these loftier kind of self-actualization ideals or goals to strive for in a story. And this is intentionally going, what if we just put this character at the very, very, very bottom? And you don't normally see the physiological needs of a protagonist be what the story is about fulfilling. And I think that that's interesting. It stands out from, I think, most other things I see because of this one little thing. And it also makes his overt horniness slightly, it makes it make sense. He's not like that for no reason. He's living this, like you said, a terrible existence, eating moldy bread, living in a hut. He doesn't really have a whole lot going on. No social uh ingrained social behaviors because he's never spent time around other people, let alone women. So he has no idea how to act. And then once you get a little ways in, he starts to achieve some of those seemingly very small life goals. And they always feel kind of, oh, that's it. That doesn't feel like it meant very much. And so there's this interesting deconstruction on this psychology pyramid. I think that's what really drives the actual character arc forward in a way I find interesting.
Nice. Josh, some of your thoughts.
To kind of like piggyback off what you were saying, the Reservoir Dogs comparison. There is a snippet in the opening theme that's about 3 seconds, and it's the exact walkthrough from Reservoir Dogs, just with the chainsaw characters. So like the reference is more than just, you know what I'm saying, inference. It's an exact, we're paying homage, you know what I'm saying? Two, I will say, on average, like 2 minutes of dub is different than sub, only because of the translations. So for people who are particular on the difference, there is like 1 to 2 minute difference in sub dub than dub episodes. So if you watch it on Crunchyroll and sub, it's gonna be different from the Hulu dub version. Not like to where it's gonna alter your whole episode, just conversation, dialogue, and relations. Overall, I have it as my favorite new gen rookie anime. For one, it provides a different main character because I'm so tired of the child blessed from birth with innate skill, a dark character that's a villain at first and then becomes his friend and closest rival, with a useless but intelligent, with her purpose, side character with pink or yellow hair. Each character we get besides I guess you can call him his rival in this show, is different in every aspect. Usually when you watch anime, the pink haired character is usually not the lead. She's not in charge. She's very overly spoken, empathetic and all that. And here, the pink haired character, cold-blooded killer, the leader of their organization group, and she don't do too much talking. She really is about that, and she's gonna say what she says. And if you don't listen, without spoiling the episode too much, but she's gonna blow your head up. Simple as that.
Yeah.
The main character, right? Okay, cool. You know, like we could say like the comparison is because he has a demon inside his body, but it's different. We seen him struggle without this demon. Like he's been poor since the literal day of his birth. He's been in an immensible debt. Is outstanding. So to see him suffer like that, it builds character development that we're not used to. You have to watch like an off-brand, maybe non-mainstream anime to find another character like this. Most mainstream animes don't push suffering because they want to show the uplift, but we can really feel when he achieves something. We understand what that's like. Now, me personally, as a man, I relate to this because I remember what it was like when you first tried to get that kiss, when you first tried to touch a boob, and to imagine that he's never had nothing. The drive to get that one thing would be I wouldn't say just as bad because he went far, but would be something close to him and me. Like, I understand that going through that hormonal stage and to never have no social cues, so you don't understand what it's like to talk to a girl, no riz, no motion. He doesn't know how to dress because he's poor, like everything. He's trying to get a kiss from nothing. And that's the hardest thing possible. And I really related to that. Overall, I know it's going to be longer because the manga goes longer. I haven't read the manga on purpose just because I'm here for the visual, the animation rather. So I know we're going to get a season 2, but for that to be the first 12 episodes we got, to me, that was the best 12 episodic anime we had in like that rookie year. So I guess you could say 2022. Because a lot of the other animes that ran that year were finales, like Attack on Titan or something like that. Like that was the end. So we were getting peer storytelling. This is the beginning. And it competed with Bleach. It competed with One Piece. It competed with Demon Slayer, like Jujutsu Kaisen. All of these things were coming out at the same time as Chainsaw Man, and it was holding its own. And that just shows that this is a different type of anime that we've ever had before. And I love it. Like, I can't speak nothing but good things about Chainsaw Man. Yeah, he's horny, cool. That's the funny goofiness. But if you actually pay attention to what's going on, there's bigger pictures going on in the background about each character having a story. Like the rival, he didn't want to smoke cigarettes ever in his life because they said he died. It like accelerates your death rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
He suffered a death in front of him, was so traumatized, he go through a pack a day. That's a different type of character development than we're used to. That's the toxic character development. Like that story is going along while he's pressing our main character about chasing titties. Like it's just so much that we're not used to in anime that I'm loving. Like he said, the pyramid. Like we're on a whole different route than what we're usually used to, and I love that sense of direction. I love it.
Mm. Yeah, because the Denshin character, so he's basically what, between the ages, what, 16, 17? Like
Yeah.
teenager?
Yeah, to me, I count lower just off of like them not saying how long was the time skip. I was thinking like based off of just them trying to make him go back to school. I'm thinking more younger high school, so like 13 to 15. Because if in like episode I think 6 or 7 or whatever, when they give him the uniform, they tell him like, "Hey, you got to go back to school while doing this." And he's in school, all he think about is titties. And me, that's high school. That's 13, 14, freshman, sophomore year. Only thing on the brain was titties.
And the women that he kind of encounters in this series, I mean, they know how to work him. I mean, because he's pretty easy. I mean, they basically string him along like kind of the dog that he is. Because I mean, he's willing to do anything for cash. One dude even tells him, "Hey man, eat this cigarette for $100. I give you $100. Eat this cigarette." He just does like, "Okay, sure," And you have the boss in here, Makima, who's the boss in here, who I like. Kind of, they keep her very mysterious. You don't know everything about her yet. Later stuff is probably going to be more revealed about that character. Hello, Lucky Dog Podcast. I'd like to say hello to you. How's it going? And then hello to Terry Thompson as well. You keep her kind of mysterious there, which I kind of like. You also have some of the other people that here, the other kind of side characters in the series here. The girl with the devil horns. They call her Pink, right? Is that correct?
Power.
Power.
Yeah, power. Because she's a blood devil. Like she has manipulation over blood to a certain extent.
Yeah, she's kind of like, if you play Mortal Kombat, she's like Scarlet from basically like Mortal Kombat, basically.
Totally.
Like she can take blood and form different objects with that and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of very much a wild card type personality in the series. And then you have like one of the leaders of the team. Who's the character? Blank on his name. The character with the sword.
Aki.
Yeah, that's why I'm talking about cigarettes. Yeah.
Who's more of a kind of in charge of their team, and then you have Makima, who's like more of the head boss there that they report to. What do you all think about the side characters in this series? People like Power, people like Aki, things like that. Sage, get your opinion there.
Yeah, I think all the characters are really well rounded. Like Josh was just saying, they might fit a type in a certain way, but then like the pink hair, but then the actual personality takes off in a completely other direction. And I think they constantly kind of bend expectations based on they know what they're doing. They're using a little bit of a trope, and then they know what you're going to expect, so they run the other way with it. Power, I think, is honestly the biggest source of comedy in the whole thing. she's like, it's so dark and dour and sad so much of the time. I think she does some things that are very funny, or her lack of caring about the lives around her sometimes works really well for comedic effect in episode 5 when they're trapped somewhere, and several of the characters are freaking out and having panic attacks, and she either finds that funny in and of itself, or she is like writing stand-up material while everyone else is just having a meltdown. um, and then Aki, I think he's great. He's, you could look at him as your, broody, revenge-driven side character, but again, they delve into his personality, and you get all these great emotional beats out of him that don't normally go alongside that character. So I think they've done a really good job. Makima is, you don't get to know her nearly as well as everybody else. I have read all of the books, so I have to be careful about what I say. Um, and but she has this air of mystery. She feels dangerous. I think no matter, like, even when she's not doing anything actively threatening, there's a sense of danger, and Denji having no social cues, or really, or ability to understand social cues. He doesn't. He just walks right by red flag after red flag. Just, I don't care. She's hot. That is the
Mm.
only thing on my mind. Um, yeah, I think it's a really, really, really well-rounded cast. And having read the book, all I can say is that we ain't seen nothing yet.
Mm. And how many chapters are there? How many books are there of Chainsaw Man?
So there are 11 volumes available for purchase here in the States. I think they're like monthly release chapters. In Japan, they're up to 14. This first season of the anime adapts about 4.5 volumes worth of book. So there's at least, if it's the same number of episodes, there's at least a whole season two's worth of material finished, and partway into a season 3 too.
Yeah. I'd say Makima is one of my favorite side characters right now. Just interested to learn more about her, and I like how all the different side characters, they have, these people who have these contracts with their devil. Each person has a unique devil ability that they do. Like we mentioned, Power has this ability to kind of manipulate blood and form objects and weapons from that. And then you have one person who made a pact with like a devil wolf, and they can summon it and it can come out. And that's Aki. He can kind of do that, and he has to feed pieces of his flesh to the demon in order for that to happen, and to use their abilities. Josh, what are your thoughts on the side characters here?
I think when it comes to side characters, we have a full palette. And when I say that, I mean like everything that you have a taste for, there's that character. So the people who are simps for the scaredy cat characters, there are two devil hunters that are, you can pretty much say they're normal, pretty much. Like they're not half devil or anything like that, like the rest of the team, and their contract's kind of small. It's a girl and a guy that are seen mostly in the hotel episode.
Yeah.
They're like regular. They're the scaredy cats. They're like, this is weird, and none of y'all are freaking out, because all of the more main characters are like, oh, this is, we just gotta figure out how to get out. This is normal. But they're immediately freaking out, like, what? We're trapped, yada yada yada. So there's that. Then there's the nonchalant but seductive older woman. That's the one who threw up in Denji's mouth and then took him home and then passed out. Like, so that she fits that. So if you want to grab her from, just for example, you grab her from another anime, you can go Jiraiya from Naruto. Um, because they literally said she hits on every rookie on his first night out. So to me, that's Pervy Sage. You know what I'm saying? Like, but this is a woman that is being, for lack of better words, mannish. Then you have the Sasuke S character and Aki, who's dark to himself. But then you get the plot twist that he's really a great guy, and he's just silent for the most part. It's kind of like, and then Denji and Power, the two loud, brash comedy characters that are going to give you something every time they're on camera, whether it's action, comedy, they're going to give you something. You're going to get something of value from them. So I feel like overall, you have every food group of anime character, and just this, like, there are other people who pop up that give you the other flavors that you're looking for, but our main cast gives you every branch of anime character that we need, and it's 10 out of 10 for me.
Mm. Yeah, nice. And you mentioned that hotel episode, and I would say that's episode 6.
Oh,
And
is
it's one
that
of my
six?
favorite.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite episodes of the series. I absolutely love that episode. Like them, it's the whole concept of the episodes. They're stuck in this hotel and they're trapped by this devil. And there's kind of like while they're hunting these other devils, there's kind of one big overarching kind of main villain devil that you see in the series that they're kind of going up against, and that's the gun devil. And he's kind of the main rival of them and trying to figure out what he's going to do next. So yeah, I love that. You know, they're trapped in this hotel. You have these again good art with the design with all the different devils and how creepy that kind of looks. So I did appreciate that, and seeing all the characters kind of bounce off each other was great. It was a chance to get to know them a lot more better, a lot better, and also established again this guy even amongst this organization that enlisted him, he's still low on the totem pole because they go like, listen, if it comes down to it, we just gonna give you we gonna give you to the devil. I mean, you know, because we've known each other longer than we've known you. So kind of, you know, hey, sucks to be you. Kind of fuck you, you know what I mean? So it's like if it kind of comes down to that. And then there is kind of a, you know, amongst like with animes where you have a main protagonist, there is something special about the main protagonist. A lot of the Gun Devils things is trying to get at the Chainsaw Man because he has a unique ability about him, and they talk about how the Chainsaw Devil killed all these other devils before. And they want something unique and special about him, and there's that element there. Um, anything kind of you guys want to say about that, about Denji's kind of, you know, kind of specialness there or uniqueness that he has there with that the other devils want? Any guys want to say something about that?
To kind of like put it in plain English, because I like trying to use comparisons from other things. He Everybody on the show pretty much has a contract with a devil where they trade something. Denji, to our knowledge so far, is the only person to ever get an organ transplant. Like the devil literally was like, "Take my heart so you could live." Everybody else is on, okay, well, every time I use your powers, I have to give a piece of flesh, or I give up a body limb, or I have to take a soul to give a soul. Like whatever the case may be, they all have some type of bribe where the devil gets something out of it. Our devil
Mm.
didn't get anything from it. He just was like, look, I want you to live and achieve happiness like we were. Because I was just happy being your friend. So I want you to be able to feel some type of happiness. Like, here's my heart. So now that the gun devil, I don't know how he knows that this occurs, but he finds out this occurs. So now I want him because I want to understand how you were able to do that. Because I'm pretty sure at some point it's going to be like he could either transfer his powers to humans and then he could live forever in his mind, or some, you know, alternate villain plan that he has to use Denji's body for to understand. Because like if you watch the people that watched their characters, like the Sword Devil, right? He's pretty much Denji just with a sword instead of a chainsaw. Like they both come out their hands. The head turns into the structure of the hilt for the chainsaw slash sword. So it's like we see that there's other people out here like Denji. So what really makes him different is the fact that he got an organ transplant instead of a contract or an agreement. You know, it's kind of like, okay, that's his oddball ability. It's not overpowered at all because we see in every episode that there's somebody stronger than him.
Mm.
Most
Yeah.
times when those main characters in anime, we learn what makes them special. It's overpowered. Naruto, Kurama's overpowered. One Piece, he can literally warp the world with the power of his imagination. It's overpowered. Goku will never lose. We know that. It's overpowered. Like he will always turn into another type of Super Saiyan to win. Okay, we get it. Denji, he's not guaranteed a victory, and we know by these other characters they're gonna let him die. They say, listen, if it comes to me versus you, I'm picking me every time. If you don't do what we tell you to do, I'm picking me every time, and we dropping you on the spot. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this is the first time where we have a main character that's not loved by anyone in reality. So it's kind of like it's different. You know, it's like this not what we're used to from a main character. Like I like this fresh new take on main character.
Mm. So Sage, you would pretty much agree with that assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they do a really good job of they define what the rules of those powers are, the limits of them, and then they don't break their own rules. You know, like they actually stick to what they say. Or sometimes stories will just kind of keep adding a power, or keep adding on ad infinitum. But I think it's actually in dialogue. I want to say episode 2. Makima says there isn't a name for what you are
Yep.
because you're so unique, and so it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely imparting a there is something different about him. We don't get into it, what exactly, like all of the details of that are, because there's still some questions about why. But yeah, I think it's got that little bit of mystery element just to pull you along a little bit more.
Mm, yeah. And so I have a question about the character. So is he basically, so is he just immortal? Because we see him, he gets chopped in half and sliced in bits and everything like that, and he can still come back. So is he basically just like kind of immortal? And why? So
Well,
uh,
the little chainsaw, you kind of see it when he's first merging with it, but you see it's actually physically replaced his heart, and he does
okay.
have one weak spot there. That's that one
Yeah.
spot in that heart.
I was gonna
Oh,
say
okay.
it's kind of like you have to think about it like he can regenerate any part of his body except for that core because that's the organ he got in the transplant. If that organ gets destroyed, then he dies. Other than that,
Okay.
you can't do anything to him. And I mean, kind of like when they were fighting the spider and like
Mhm.
they were dismembering like certain parts of it and it wasn't regenerating, he could pull his body part back and then still continue to fight. Like that's what I guess you could say that's what his limit is. Like I mean limit breaker is like, okay, Goku's gonna go Super Saiyan again. Denji is gonna heal and continue to fight because nobody knows how to technically defeat him. The only thing that can stop him is him running out of blood. But this show is full of blood, so run out of blood. I mean,
He doesn't have to look very hard to find some.
right, it doesn't have to go far at all. But
So
yeah.
and then to kill like just your average everyday devil is just like chopping its head off and slicing it in half. Like that could basically can kill any regular.
It depends on what your devil contract is because like I can use koi, right? It can eat a piece, it can eat the whole thing, it can consume. Or you got Makima where from my understanding, just based off of the one season we have, she has to take a life in order to take someone else's. So she got all those prisoners. For each prisoner, she has another one of the agency's people lined up with that name. So when that prisoner died, the person that who head she blew up died as well. That's just from my understanding of her power so far. Um, then you got power. She could impale you. She could cut your head off. She can cut limbs off. Whatever the case may be. We know she survived, but it's animalistic, so she's just a brute. And then you could just, you know what I'm saying, pick anybody. Each character has their own weapon repertoire, so I don't think that there's a specific way to kill a devil. You just have to decapitate or dismember completely. You know what I'm saying?
Mm. Evil Dead rules. Just keep
Kind of.
dismembering. Just
Basically,
yeah. Just keep
it's Evil
cutting.
Dead meets Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep cutting.
There is an element of the devils, of the power structure amongst them in general as like a species, where the more the concept of what that devil is, if that particular thing like guns is feared more by society at large, the more powerful that devil will be. So what the devils are based on also kind of determines like how crazy their powers can get.
Yeah, I compare the gun devil to Aku from Samurai Jack. The
Mm.
devil that feeds off of fear and could shapeshift and morph and control other things and send them out to destroy our main character. Because Aku probably fought Jack one on one, what, 2, 3 times in those 5 seasons. In reality, Jack was always running against the minions. To me, the gun devil was always pulling a button to somebody, and that person is who our characters are same fighting. It's the same dynamic of what's going on with the power hierarchy on the devil side. Because like to me, blood is not feared as much. If she can't control the blood in your body, it's not really, you know what I'm saying? You're pretty much a physical attacker for power, right? So she would be low. But then she was listening and responding to a spider. Spiders, there's a lot of people in society who have arachnophobia. They're terrified. So of course he would be enlarged, powerful, because arachnophobia is a thing in the society. But nobody really fears blood as much. Like there's some people that are squeamish to the sight of blood, but how common is that in reality? So it's like a chainsaw, on the other hand, is unhinged because there's nothing to fear if it's not on or if there's nobody holding it. If the chainsaw's just on the ground, it's just a chainsaw. There's no, you know what I'm saying? There's no imminent threat. You can stay
Mm.
away from it and be cool. So it's like we don't know where Denji ranks, but then we have the head villain, which is the Gun Devil. Guns are, we could say, one of the best and worst inventions ever. Like it does so much bad, just as much as good as it protects. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, cool. We gonna put this up because this is so fearful. And then if you really pay attention, not that many people in the world of the show have guns in
Mm.
general. And that kind of like plays to the inner thought of like, oh, so this thing is really feared. Like it's not even the policemen will run around with batons.
Right. Is that kind of a commentary on Japan's politics? Because I know in Japan, so it's you can't even have a gun in Japan, right? And
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's
Yeah.
kind of them playing on their culture, like like
Mm.
how like we're giving you an insight to what we go through. Like this is what we fear. These are our fears based off of our culture. Because to us, we wouldn't even. I don't know. The head devil would probably be like nuclear or something like that. You know what I'm saying? For them, it's a gun.
Mm. Okay. And yeah, because it says in the show like the devils are based on human fears and everything like that, and that's how they kind of come. So it's I guess
That's how they
it's
manifest.
playing up a bit on like when people say about gods and how gods get their powers is people who believe in them, and that's how they become gods and get strong and everything like that. And so I guess they're doing that same thing with the devils and everything like that. Is like the more you fear something, the more powerful something becomes. And
Right.
that was kind of doing a reverse of that.
And
Interesting.
that's how I feel like Pokita, what the Chainsaw Dog got manifested because in hell or like where the devils reside, he was cold, like he was chopping people down, he was feared, right? He lost the fight, got ejected, and like I said, a chainsaw is only useful in the hands of a man, right? So what happens? He gets sent to somebody with nothing, and they form a bond like this, and they become the strongest weapon we have, right? Because at the end of the day, man makes the chainsaw dangerous. You know what I'm saying? So now you got both sides of the world trying to figure out why this combination is so deadly, while also combating each other. So devils want it back because they know who he was back in the day. The humans don't understand why he's so strong or why he even exists because to their knowledge this is not supposed to happen because every other thing that we have in this world is a contract, it's an agreement. They don't have an agreement. We don't understand why this works. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like an anomaly.
Yeah. Any negatives at all? Sage, you have any issues with the show? Anything like that?
You know, I honestly don't have a whole lot of complaints. Often, one complaint I do have with some anime is the overt horniness and the perviness that can go into some. But I think here, I think it serves a purpose here. When I was talking about the psychology pyramid and the breakdown of that, I don't think that the way that this character arc goes in the long term, this kind of deconstruction of that pyramid and growing to have goals beyond just primal desires of the flesh and kind of coming to understand all the different elements of life. I don't think you could build up to that without starting at the bottom the way they do. I think it's kind of it can be off-putting to some people, but I do think if even if it's something that bothers you, I think it's worth kind of sitting through those parts and giving it a chance because they kind of do mean something bigger, and it might not be obvious right away, but especially I think by the end of the season you get a sense of the way he's changing the way he thinks about those things.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Usually, watching anime, that's one of my complaints. Like, because that's usually the source of comedy a lot of times is the
It
horniness
is, yeah.
and, the perviness and everything like that. I feel like you always have a character like that in an anime. But here, it kind of serves a purpose because, I mean, like I said, he ain't got nothing else. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just like
Yeah.
this kind of all he got. So yeah. So I think it serves a purpose here. And negative wise, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of any too strong negatives. I'm interested in this series. It's crazy as hell. A lot of good action scenes. I love the scene where he was fighting the sword devil. I thought that was really great. I thought that was one of the best moments action wise of the series. Interested in some characters that you can later. This is only the first season that you can later get into more. I'm really interested to learn more not only about Makima but the what's the scared girl's name? What's her name?
Oh, Kobeni.
Yeah,
Cometti. Yeah, the real nervous ass girl. I'm really interested to know more about her. I know she's,
she
she going through
survived.
it every episode.
She survived when the old lady shot the gun at them, and she ended up the old lady hit the dude instead of her. We all thought that she got hit and the dude survived, and then they gave us that at the end, and it's like, okay, now I want to know why you survived. Now I'm intrigued. Like
Yeah.
that is different. And then like the overhoarding this part, why I don't have a problem with it is because every main character in anime, his drive is usually to be the strongest, the leader. So, Luffy's goal to One Piece, Naruto's goal to be Hokage, Goku to be the strongest person ever. Like they all have a drive to just for strength or like power or monetary, pretty much like something like you physically hold or like a position, right? My
Mm.
man only wants a kiss.
That's
The horniness is his ambition. The horniness is the reason why he's living, literally, like why he's alive. Like to me, you can't say it's over horny because that's literally his reason to be alive. He's never experienced nothing like this. The first time a girl's lips touched his lips, she threw up in his mouth and he swallowed it.
yeah. Jeez. I mean, hey, that makes a lot of money. I think on OnlyFans, that make a lot of money. But yeah, make
Is
a
there
lot of
any
money.
grosser moment anyone has seen in any other
Any
anime?
anime, like that's probably the top 10 grosses in any anime. Crazy.
It's fun. It's funny that I was watching it on Hulu, and you have all this blood, all this guts, all this stuff everywhere. They didn't blur that out, but they blurred out the vomit. They've
Mhm.
And that's in the original like Japanese airing version of it too. I'm curious to see what it'll look like if when you like pick up the Blu-ray and put it in at home. But in the book that definitely does not have a censor over it, I'll tell you that.
uh, all right, so I guess we can you guys can give your ratings for it. So our rating system is highest you can give something is This Is Cinema. That's the highest. Right below that is we came up with a new rating. We have peak. Peak is our new rating that we have below that. Then there's a tune in, tune out. Then you can do a skip it, burn it, and then waste a fucking film. I don't think you're gonna give it a skip it, burn it, a waste of fucking film, given how you guys talked about it. But I'm just saying that those are the rating scale there. And hello, cat named Whitney. How you doing? Thanks for stopping by. So, Josh, what is your rating for Chainsaw Man?
Cinema, straight cinema. That is 12 episodes of no filler. Every episode gave you information like that was relevant to the overall story. There's no episode where they're going to play baseball randomly or nothing wild like that. It's 12 episodes of great anime for an open season. Action, animation, storyline, even a hint of romance for the people who like romance in their animes. Like there's something for everybody. Comedic value, everything. Well, great written characters, scenery, everything was just 10 out of 10 for me. Like I have no negatives, no complaints. If I could complain, it was to be um more episodes. That's my complaint. 12 wasn't enough because how they left us on that cliffhanger, I was sick. With the just crows flying away in the sky. No, you're not just gonna do me like this to end the season. Like devastated. But yeah, no. Cinema. Like people who are just starting to watch anime and just coming in the culture, you can start with Chainsaw Man. It's a great start. It's a great start.
Mm. Do you think this is a good starter anime? I don't think this maybe is a good starter anime. Do you think this is a good starter anime?
Why I say yes? Because this is going to get you ready for the new powerhouses, right? If you can't watch this type of animation and fighting, you can't go enjoy Demon Slayer because this is what Demon Slayer is. Like
Hmm.
in the sense, the Devil's Land and Demon Slayer, it just takes place in two different times. You know what I'm saying? Like the contract that the demons have in Demon Slayer with Muzan, the head demon in charge, right? It's the same thing. The contracts that the Devil Slayers have with their devils, like it's a segue to everywhere. You can find with the power and abilities and the slicing and the technology in that age. You can look at Attack on Titan. You can look at Demon Slayer. Jujutsu Kaisen is just another version of Naruto in a different universe. Like you could just find whatever you want to find in this one season Chainsaw in any other anime. So I say yes, start anime because when you watch other things, you will already have experienced this version of it first. Because you can't go and watch 3-4 seasons of Demon Slayer and expect somebody to be like, I want to watch anime now. That 12 episodes will make you be like, okay, I can see why y'all sit here and watch this.
Okay. Sage, what is your rating for Chainsaw
So
Man?
I know that I didn't really have a lot of negatives, but I am going to go with peak. And the only reason that it's not higher is just knowing where it goes. I think that there's so much more to this that we haven't gotten into yet. And I think it only improves as it goes. And I know that when we come back and we do get more, I think it's going to be even better. And that is going to be the cinema. Will be that second season. Just one interesting note to make about it is that in the animation industry in Japan in general, generally what happens is you've got a successful book that's got like a production committee. That committee makes a contract for an animation studio, and they hire a studio to make the show. Usually the animators don't get paid all that much. It's not the best workforce to be in the world, but Mappa Studios was actually part of the production committee for this first season. So they got to work on it for 2 full years before release. There was no restriction or time limit that they had to get this out by. So it might be a while before we get a season 2, but you know that they're going to be putting their absolute soul into everything that they can for it. And I think that's part of why that's why you got a different end credit song for every episode, because they had the time to do it in every way they wanted to.
Fire song. Fire.
Nice. So I would give this good strong tune in from me. Like I said, love the action in it. Thought it was really good. I liked a lot of the side characters in this. Like you said, they kind of, pointing out to me how they avoided a lot of those different major tropes that you have in a lot of animes. The character who's on for revenge, who's very in solitary, kind of mode, and then you see that he's not like that. You have kind of your typical mysterious characters that really work pretty well, which I enjoyed. I am interested to see a season 2, which is what you want out of a show, to keep you invested and keep going to a season 2. So I am invested in it. I am going to be watching season 2, and we will come back and we will do a review of that if you guys so choose to do that.
I'll be here.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I would give it a strong tune in. And if you watch the opening credits, there's a lot of different film references that are there. I'm looking at a list of them right now. So you have like things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is obviously, if you have something called Chainsaw Man, you got to have reference Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You also have movies like Pulp Fiction. You also have, of course, Reservoir Dogs, which you mentioned, No Country for Old Men, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Don't Look Up, Jacob's Ladder, Constantine, The Big Lebowski, Fight Club, just to name a few movies there.
There's one really funny odd one out in that list, because for the most part all of them are like classic pieces of film, but there's one kind of goofy one. It's I hope I'm saying the names right, but Sadako versus Kayako, the like Grudge versus the Ring movie that got the like Freddy versus Jason style thing they did a few years back. That has a reference in there, which I just thought that was funny considering what all the rest of them are.
Yeah.
It's like a spoof. It's like, how Scary Movie used to be, Disaster Movie, and those type of things, like how they play it on a whole bunch of other things in pop culture. Like Chainsaw Man is just like, look, this is what you guys like, so we're gonna poke fun at it, but we're gonna use our characters. Like intro, outro, both of them. Like the scenes, if you really pay attention to what's going on in the credits and the opening, like you see references to pop culture all the time.
Nice. So that was Chainsaw Man.